If you want to know what the defense is most afraid of, just watch what they've been objecting to. By the way, this all started weeks ago. They filed a motion to have this specific recording kept out. That was denied by the judge. Then they appealed that up to the Utah Supreme Court. That was denied. Now we're in court on the day that they plan on playing it, when we believe we've got all these legal hurdles out of the way, and they're again objecting. And the judge, and there's no other way to put this, this is sandbagging by the defense. They have waited until the very last moment to raise these further objections, and that's the argument that we've seen take up the bulk of this afternoon, is whether or not this recording can come in. It is the cornerstone piece of this preliminary hearing, and that's why they're so afraid of it.
Hey guys, remember on September 10th, 2025, a man walked onto the campus of Utah Valley University in shorts and a t-shirt, bought meal at Chick-fil-A, and then climbed onto the roof of a building and allegedly shot and killed one of the most prominent conservative voices in America. And before the day was over, he sent a text message to the one person who shared his apartment, his life, and, according to court evidence presented this week, DNA on the towel wrapped around the murder weapon. When that person texted Robinson and asked him directly if he was the shooter, Robinson replied 4 words: "I am. I'm sorry." Today, that person's recorded statement is being played in open court for the entire world to hear, and what he says could determine whether Tyler Robinson faces the death penalty or something else entirely. Before we go any further, hit subscribe right now and turn on notifications, because this preliminary hearing is moving faster than anyone expected, and I am going to be right here every single day it develops. Let's start with what the court has actually established this week, because the evidence presented so far is more specific and more damning than most of the coverage is letting on. On the first day of the preliminary hearing, prosecutors played video of the fatal shooting in open court. Judge Tony Graff flinched and visibly leaned away from the screen when the fatal shot rang out. Tyler Robinson sat completely still. No reaction, not a flinch, not a blink. While a sitting judge physically recoiled from what he was watching, the man accused of pulling the trigger showed nothing. Prosecutors then walked the court through a surveillance timeline. Robinson was captured on camera walking the UVU campus that morning, dressed in a burgundy t-shirt, jeans, and Converse shoes. He bought food at Chick-fil-A. He appeared relaxed, unhurried, like someone running a routine errand. Hours later, investigators found a Mauser Model 98 bolt-action rifle wrapped in a towel near campus. The rifle contained 1 spent round and 3 unspent rounds. Each of those unspent rounds had been engraved with messages. Robinson's DNA was found on the rifle's trigger, on the fired cartridge casing, on 2 of the other cartridges, and on the towel. And on the rooftop of the building where investigators believe the shot was fired, his DNA was also found on a screwdriver. Now, here is where Lance Twiggs becomes the center of everything. And I want to be clear, Twiggs has not been charged with any crime. He is not a suspect. But he is arguably the most important person in this entire case right now, and almost nobody is talking about him the way this story deserves. Tell me in the comments, before today, had you even heard Lance Twiggs' name in connection with this case? Because what he knows changes the texture of this story completely. Twiggs was Robinson's roommate and romantic partner at the time of the shooting. They shared an apartment in St. George, a city in southwestern Utah. According to court documents, Robinson left a handwritten note under the keyboard of his own computer before the day of the shooting. That note read, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it." Twiggs found that note, then Robinson sent the text confirming he had done exactly what the note said he was going to do. Twiggs then cooperated with investigators. He gave a recorded statement under oath in April 2026 and was given use immunity in exchange, meaning prosecutors agreed not to use his own statements against him. Robinson's defense team fought hard to force Twiggs to testify in person. The judge denied that motion, and today, Thursday, July 9th, most of Twiggs' recorded interview is being played in open court publicly for the first time. Here is the detail that the defense is leaning on and that you need to understand. Twiggs' DNA was also found on that towel, the same towel wrapped around the murder weapon. The defense is arguing that this creates reasonable doubt that the DNA transfer could have happened simply from 2 people living in the same space. Prosecutors counter that the question of DNA reliability is a matter for trial, not for a preliminary hearing whose only purpose is to establish probable cause. The forensic expert called to testify described DNA testing as the gold standard of forensic science. If you find yourself thinking about what Twiggs actually knew and when, drop a comment because that question is sitting at the center of this case in a way the courtroom coverage isn't fully capturing. Now, let's talk about what is happening outside that courthouse, because there are two parallel stories running simultaneously this week, and they are almost impossible to separate. Inside the courtroom, prosecutors are building what looks on paper like an extremely strong evidence case. A note, a text confession, DNA on the weapon, surveillance footage, and a roommate cooperating with authorities under immunity. Outside the courtroom, a network of conspiracy creators has set up what amounts to a surveillance operation focused not on Robinson, but on Charlie Kirk's widow, Erika Kirk. Erika Kirk walked into that courtroom on Monday knowing that thousands of people online were going to be watching her face, her body language, her outfit, her expression, looking for proof of theories that have already been fact-checked and found to have no evidentiary support whatsoever. Theories that have generated over 1,000 documented violent threats against her since Charlie's death. She sat next to Charlie Kirk's parents and watched prosecutors present evidence of the day her husband was killed. She appeared visibly emotional, and she also filed a legal motion this week demanding that all evidence presented in the courtroom be displayed publicly and in real time, arguing that in the absence of full transparency, conspiracy theories will continue to proliferate. That is not the behavior of someone hiding something. That is someone demanding that every piece of evidence be seen by everyone in the room. The one genuine open question that exists publicly, and I want to be clear, this is a question, not an accusation, is the countdown. 2 days before Charlie Kirk's assassination, Erika posted an Instagram video with the words, 10 days the way, 9.16. Most people who have looked at this now believe the countdown was referencing September 16th, the date Erika was announced as the new CEO of Turning Point USA 6 days after Charlie's death. No police investigation has connected that post to the shooting. No court document names it as evidence of anything. It's a timeline coincidence that the internet has turned into something larger than the facts currently support. But it is also a question that has never been publicly clarified, and in the absence of clarification, speculation fills the space. What the evidence in that courtroom actually shows right now is a man who wrote a note saying he was going to kill Charlie Kirk, allegedly carried out exactly what that note described, texted his roommate a confession hours later, had his DNA found on the murder weapon and on the rooftop where the shot was fired, and surrendered to police less than 48 hours after the shooting. That is the documented record as it stands today. Whether Lance Twiggs' testimony adds to that record, complicates it, or changes it in ways nobody has anticipated yet, we are going to find out today. So where does this leave us? A preliminary hearing with more evidence than most trials see, a roommate's recorded statement being played in open court right now, a widow who flew into a courtroom to demand the world see every piece of evidence while the internet decided she was the real story, and a man who sat completely still while a judge flinched watching footage of the moment that changed everything. Official story, real questions. If this breakdown gave you something the news coverage didn't, do me a favor and like this video. It helps this channel reach more truth chasers tracking exactly what we are tracking. And subscribe with notifications on, because when that Twiggs statement drops publicly today, I will be back with a full breakdown of everything it reveals. Thanks for watching, truth chasers, and I will see you in the next one.